if you're Japan, you're pretty happy with how things have gone so far. Japan's first female prime minister, Sanae Takaishi, who just came into office a week ago, does not have a long-standing relationship with President Trump. And she was navigating this deal that was arranged by her predecessor to spend $550 billion in the U.S. That is about a tenth of Japan's economy, all that on projects chosen by Washington in order to avert tariffs that were higher than 15%. For a period of time, it was unclear whether she would uphold this deal as it was written by her predecessor. But she is, of course, Shinzo Abe's protege, and she sought to use that connection to establish a strong relationship with President Trump. She gifted him one of Abe's golf clubs that he used when they played together in 2017, and that set the tone. Things really took off from there.
This woman is a winner. So, you know, we've become very close friends all of a sudden because their stock market today and our stock market today hit an all-time high. That means we're doing something right. But the cherished alliance between the United States and Japan is one of the most remarkable relationships in the entire world.
The two leaders signed a framework agreement pledging to ramp up mining and processing of rare earth minerals to jointly strengthen supply chains, with China controlling the vast majority of the world's supply. Takaishi also displayed a huge Ford F-150 truck in the courtyard of the palace where they met, reportedly drawing praise from President Trump, who has complained that there aren't enough American cars in Japan. And just a few hours ago, during a visit with the troops, the president brought the prime minister on stage with him.
I'm delighted to report that I've just approved the first batch of missiles. You saw a couple of them coming down with me. I hugged them. We need them. They're the best in the world. Nobody has them like we have them. They all want our missiles. That's the problem. Everybody wants them. But it's the first batch of missiles to be delivered to the Japanese self-defense forces for Japan's F-35s. And they're coming this week, so they're ahead of schedule.
So we're still awaiting some details on what agreements they reached. We know Japan is looking at buying Ford F-150s, for instance. Up next, the president is going to be on to South Korea, which is also struggling to make good on its $350 billion investment pledge that they struck to get a better tariff rate. It is likely that South Korea's leadership was watching how things went in Japan, and if they were smart, probably taking notes. Guys.
Hey, Jackie, anything on Kim Jong-un?
Not yet. The president says he is open to meeting with Kim Jong-un if they'll pick up the phone. He's repeatedly made overtures, and you recall their last meeting was arranged by tweet. But there are some reports that Kim wants Trump to first drop the demand for North Korea to abandon its nuclear program. There are questions about whether a meeting would come together, but the president has said he's going to be in South Korea if Kim Jong-un wants to make it happen. We'll see.
It's close. Yeah. We know what line to cross.
We've seen it happen before,
yes,
right?
That's right.
And Jackie, you mentioned a tweet.
Yes.
What about TikTok? It looks like the big event with Xi and Trump could be an announcement about TikTok, right?
Possibly. The president said that it's one of the things they're going to be talking about. It might not be part of the big agreement that comes together, but he did mention that they got an initial approval from Xi on TikTok some time ago. That's going to be one of the issues that they talk about. But they're really hoping to iron out this rare earth minerals agreement. China had threatened to enact these really tough export controls that would have effectively put China in control of all technology transactions for the entire world. They staved off that control for about a year, but the U.S. still wants to see them pledge to never enact it. So we'll see the details on that. And of course, the U.S. also wants China to bring back purchases of U.S. soybeans because they have left U.S. farmers on the ropes with these trade negotiations stalled.
If you can hear this message, you are the remaining survivors of the Democrat Party. We need your help. If you are capable of being likable, please find a clean suit and tie. We will get you across the finish line, but time is running out. Please help us.
It's kind of dark, dude. Bro, it's kind of dark, man. What is that? What was that meme? That's great. I mean, it's great. It was very macabre. But, like, you know, it was very Michael Bay. What was that exactly? Cool. Okay, great. Jerry, the next director of the Suicide Squad. Today is Tuesday, October 28th, 2025. House Oversight drops bombshell report on Biden auto pen. Guess who's on our program? Jamie Comer, the man who just dropped this report. This thing is fresh, hot off the presses. It is hot on the block. Ladies and gentlemen, it's a hell of a report. Effectively saying that all of Joe Biden's executive actions are illegal, null, and void, and have been referred to the DOJ. We're going to cover all of it with the man himself, Jamie Comer. Trump meets with the Japanese Prime Minister, Sanae Tamagotchi. And it's so epic. So we're going to kick off the show with this incredible video of President Trump on an aircraft carrier getting lowered down. Speaking of Michael Bay, it was like a Michael Bay movie. It's like incredible. I'm actually surprised, Jerry, that that's not the meme today. But nonetheless, Trump is a transformer. Come on. Anyway, ladies and gentlemen, again, we are proud to have Chairman James Comer on the show. Probably the most newsworthy man in politics right now. He'll be live in moments. My name is Benny Johnson, and this is The Benny Show. This is also a time when you gotta lock it up. I don't know what else to say, man. We got a couple of things. We're going to be traveling today. We're going to be at the Heritage Foundation tonight. We're going to be moderating a really cool event about Matthew Lohmeyer, Undersecretary of the Navy, and Tulsi Gabbard's going to be there. It's going to be great. Okay, we're going to have a great night. Again, we're going to be live on stage at the Heritage Foundation with Tulsi Gabbard. Part of the other reason why I want to go to Heritage is because we're working on a number of things with attempting to make life more affordable for young people. And we're going to roll all that out in due time. But one of the issues that has been just totally and completely broken is healthcare. Healthcare costs are out of control. They are astronomical because what Obamacare did was Obamacare foisted the cost of every lazy, unhealthy slob on the rest of us. On every person that decides to live a healthy life, you're penalized for living a healthy life. It is actually communist and socialized healthcare. It is single payer in the sense that the healthy people pay all the money. And then freeloaders, fat, obese, unhealthy freeloaders, they don't have to pay anything. And we all have to subsidize them. It didn't used to be that way, actually. But the system's been broken, and it's totally left-wing coded, and I hate it. And I'm not sure how to put the genie back in the lamp. You just don't know. I don't know with healthcare. It sucks. Why am I talking about this? Well, ladies and gentlemen, this is a time when you should be thinking about how you pay for your healthcare and what kind of healthcare you're using. My family uses Medishare. Medishare is Christian care. They are, choosy. They have standards. And those standards, because they all have a value system that they use in their practice and in their service providing, that value system is able to actually lower costs. And my family uses this. My wife is a nurse. She used to work at Blue Cross Blue Shield. She knows the insurance system really down to the letter. She loves this care for our family. More than 1 million Americans are now on Medishare. This is because they are frustrated with the absolutely egregious costs of healthcare. Ladies and gentlemen, this has been a great option for over 30 years and can save you thousands and thousands of dollars. It certainly has for my family. Right now, if you want to know more, there's an easy option. Go to Medishare.com/Benny. That's Medishare.com/Benny, or send a text message and you'll get the info. You and your family can get free of this sick and broken health care system. It's really sick care system. It's not really health care at all. Text the word Benny to 70246. 70246. Text the word Benny to 70246 and you'll get the link. Message and data rates apply. All right. Ladies and gentlemen, I take some extra time on that because, I actually really believe in it. And more importantly, lowering the cost to live in America is a critical issue, especially for young people, but for everyone. And it's something that we're going to be focusing on this program. We want to make life better for people. So does Donald Trump. He's in Japan right now. Just a completely epic moment yesterday where President Trump was on an aircraft carrier and he had tons of members of the military behind him, and he gets lowered down on the USS George Washington in just the most epic entrance I've ever seen in my life. Like, listen to this. Listen to the sailors.
Ladies and gentlemen, the President of the United States, Donald J. Trump.
It's pretty epic. What a entrance. Donald Trump then introducing the new Prime Minister of Japan, Sanae Takachi, and she starts jumping for joy. She loves Trump so much. Here we go.
But we're also very honored to be joined by hundreds of our incredible Japanese partners, and they are incredible. Thank you very much. Thank you. This woman, that's right. This woman is a winner. So, you know, we've become very close friends all of a sudden because their stock market today and our stock market today hit an all-time high. That means we're doing something right. But the cherished alliance between the United States and Japan is one of the most remarkable relationships in the entire world. Really, there's never been anything like it. Born out of the ashes of a terrible war, our bond has grown over 8 decades into the beautiful friendship that we have. It's a foundation of peace and security in the Pacific. You see it? So on behalf of all American sailors stationed in this beautiful country, let's hear it for our allies and the Japanese self-defense forces and all of the Japanese people that we love and respect. And I have such respect for Japan and the country. And now I have a really great respect for the new and incredible Prime Minister. And I have to say this, the first female Prime Minister in the history of Japan. Madam Prime Minister.
Jumping for joy. She's literally jumping for joy. Now, she jumps on and gives a speech in Japanese. I don't know Japanese. I don't know. Got some fun Japanese memes lined up for you. Let's read the top line. Headlines: Trump makes Japan's prime minister literally jump for joy at raucous rally for troops on aircraft carrier. Man, nobody does it like Trump. Nobody. You'll never see it again. You'll never see anything like this again. It's just remarkable to watch. Donald Trump, Japan's prime minister, Sanae Takachi, jumping for joy during his remarks addressing troops to America's good-looking sailors. All right. U.S. troops went wild as the new prime minister of Japan pumped her fist, smiled ear to ear, and jumped in a circle on stage aboard the USS George Washington. Can we get that as a play-beside? And can we, Alex, I saw that clip going viral. Can we isolate that and do it as a play-beside? Trump posted as first female prime minister, history of Japan. Trump makes a grand entrance at his event, coming down in a giant lift, strutting out, flanked by fighter jets, the F-22 Raptors, and large missiles. I don't know what kind of missiles they were. President Trump petting and kissing the missiles before walking on stage. You'll never get another one. Two flowered compliments on each other, their day together, and Trump heads to South Korea to wrap up a week-long trip through Asia. I'm happy to have gotten to know the new prime minister, he said. She's got all of our support. And earlier on Tuesday, Takachi said that she would nominate Trump for the next year's Nobel Peace Prize. Nice. The president made his mission on Tuesday to tell U.S. troops stationed in Japan how great they were. Look at these two. Can you scroll down? Look at how happy they are. Look at her jumping. There she is, jumping for joy. And then here she is, like, beaming ear to ear. You just love to see it. By the way, this lady is based. It's based. Not only is she a hardcore metal drummer, but she also believes in net zero migration. Japan has 3% criminal alien or migrant worker population. She wants to deport all of them. She says Japan is for the Japanese. She says Japan first. And these are the kind of ideologies that actually save nations, not destroy them. And very much America first, ladies and gentlemen, as she's proved yesterday with her embrace of Donald Trump. Here they are meeting at the palace, the Japanese palace. You can tell these two loved each other. She was a protege of Donald Trump's bestie, Shinzo Abe. Great time. She's a big fan of Margaret Thatcher. She believes in Japanese tradition. Traditional marriage. They gave each other gifts. Trump actually got Trump got some of the golf clubs of Shinzo Abe. At first I thought this was a sword, but it's actually a driver. Yeah, dude, it should be a katana. Yeah, I mean, you should give Trump a katana for sure, too. You should give him that also. Pretty amazing. And then President Trump eulogizing his friend Shinzo Abe, one of the most beautiful relationships in the diplomatic world, was how much Shinzo Abe and Donald Trump loved each other. Here we go.
Well, I want to thank you very much, and I want to congratulate you. As you know, Shinzo Abe was a great friend of mine, and I was very saddened to see what happened. It was so shocking, but he spoke so well of you, even before we knew what was going to happen and your ascension. He spoke so well of you long before we met, and I'm not surprised to see that you are now the Prime Minister, and he would be very happy to know that, and I congratulate you on behalf of the United States of America.
It's a beautiful thing. Here we go. The White House posting how much fun the two of them are having. They're watching the World Series together. Besties. So here you have the interpreter there, and the two of them sitting there watching the World Series with their interpreters. How funny would it be to be a world leader? How interesting would that be? And what's on the table there, Klein? What are they drinking? What do they got there? They got some like funny Japanese what do they got there? Yeah, I doubt that. Trump doesn't drink. Okay, what about Japan First hats? Let's see. What do they got? So apparently Trump was gifted Japan is Back. This is like the version of Japan First. And you can see President Trump's signature there. So Japan is Back is Make America Great Again, and the Japanese version. And Donald Trump signing those hats. It's a beautiful thing to see. Obviously, this is what you want. You never saw Joe Biden treated like this by any world leader, like at all. In fact, get me the difference. Oh, give me the difference. ALX, I know you got it. Joe Biden just wandering off at the NATO summit, please. Can you give me that? The parachutes. Okay. Let's give me that one. A nice little bridge into what's next. So we went from, and we're going to get into Joe Biden and dementia and the full wholesale collapse of like the fake presidency, and then we'll have Jamie Comer on in just a moment. But we got to show. I mean, just like one more time, Klein. Can you do the jumping prime minister? He's the prime minister jumping for joy. This is what Trump does to world leaders. This is a prime minister jumping for joy, squeeing like a little schoolgirl.
Female prime minister in the history of Japan.
Look at her go.
Prime Minister, please say a few.
What is
Prime Minister in the
What is
history
this?
of Japan. Madam Prime Minister, please say a few words.
Thank you, Mr. President, and thank you all.
Jerry? Do not make a meme of this.
本日、米国の海軍創設250周年
I don't speak Japanese, but I hear it was a beautiful speech. All right, ladies and gentlemen. So we go from that to that. We go from this to that. Okay, so let's reverse it. Yeah, Jerry, don't you dare make a meme of that. I don't need to see anyone's Bower factory. Like, I don't need to see that meme again. Don't you dare, Jerry. Okay, don't you dare. You can make fun of the communist Chinese all you want. All right. Yeah, that's yes, that's right. That's a number one way to make sure the show crashes, by the way, is like to talk smack about the communist Chinese. We'll see what happens. Ladies and gentlemen, we go from world leaders jumping for joy on stage. We've played it again and again and again. World leaders literally physically jumping for joy because they're so happy about President Trump and America. This is where we've come from. This is what world leaders were doing 1 year ago, approximately. These are all of NATO's leaders. what you see here is at least a dozen global leaders noticing that Joe Biden is just wandering off into the bushes. He's doing the meme. And watch all of the leaders cloister around him and like guide him back. Like tenderly guide him back the way that you would Grandpa during activity hour at the nursing home. Grandpa with dementia. You can see Joe Biden just, they've some parachute demonstration has just happened. And Joe Biden just like wanders off, and look at all the global leaders. Instead of jumping for joy, what they are doing is they are attempting to like empty a bedpan in fear of Joe Biden just literally taking off into the bushes. It's not slow motion. Look at that. And then look at his hand, you know, like the rigidity of this dude. It's so bad. It's just so embarrassing. It's the difference, the difference side by side. And now we know that it's criminal, ladies and gentlemen. We'll get to this new report in just one moment. Our cell phone provider and service provider that keeps us connected on the road is Patriot Mobile. And you know that. We'll be traveling right after the show, going up to D.C. Maybe we'll run into Jamie Comer. I don't know, man. Government shutdown. But we're going to be live tonight at Heritage Foundation with Tulsi Gabbard, Matthew Lohmeyer, and a great crew. It's going to be really fun. But what are we going to do? We're going to be posting from the road. We have some big news tomorrow. It's going to be really fun. Anyway, Patriot Mobile keeps us locked, loaded, and connected right now. You will enjoy the same or better premium coverage in all major carriers. Patriot Mobile offers premium access to all three major networks. Go to patriotmobile.com/Benny or call 972-PATRIOT. Use a promo code Benny for a free month of service. patriotmobile.com/Benny or call 972-PATRIOT. Make the switch today. patriotmobile.com/Benny, 972-PATRIOT. Kamala Harris said that she wants to run for president again. That's what she said. Yet when Kamala Harris was trying to backstop Joe Biden in the White House, her greatest defense of Joe Biden, when pressed, of all people by 60 Minutes, was this. Here we go.
Democratic donors, and they have told us that should something befall President Biden and he is not able to run, that there would be a free-for-all for who would run as president.
Because Joe Biden is very much alive and running for re-election.
Very much alive. Very much alive. You got a wife? You got a girlfriend? You got someone you like in your life? Fiance? I don't care. What if they describe you as very much alive? Does that sound like a loving thing to do? Or does it sound like perhaps they have some different intention for you? Like, what if you asked, what if you asked your wife, like your wife was on camera. Great, look at that face. Oh, yes. Yes, ladies and gentlemen. A face that only Willie Brown could love, as they say in the Hallmark card. What if your wife gets asked about you? And they're like, hey, how's Bob doing? And your wife hits this expression, right? Goes,
who would run as president?
Because Joe Biden is very much alive.
And your wife goes, well, Bob's very much alive. Like, what would that say about your wife and her intentions for you? They all knew, right? They all knew. In retrospect, one of the most damning clips was actually from Barack Obama, of all people. You remember Barack Obama was trying to make this thing work, I think. Up until the last. It was all Obama's presidency anyway. He was all pulling the strings behind the scenes. Barack Obama laughing and, bragging about how his dream presidency would be a third term where he could just use an earpiece and there would be a literal brain dead man just saying what Obama wanted him to say. He said this on camera before. He told Stephen Colbert this. My dream presidency is me in my sweats in one of my mansions, making all my money, and I can just use an earpiece to tell some idiot what to say and do. And that is exactly what happened. Obama, of all people, was like the greatest undoing. This is a pretty damning clip. This Obama clip, man, here on stage with Jimmy Kimmel. Bro, this is so bad. This is so broke. Look at that. Look at that. This was Joe Biden, the last time Joe Biden was seen in public on the campaign trail. Look at that. Look at how bad things have gotten. What happened in this clip was that they had just finished a $30 million fundraiser in Hollywood. And then look at this freeze frame. Joe Biden stands up. According to every attendee, Joe Biden clearly didn't know where he was or what was going on. His answer didn't make any sense. Barack Obama was constantly interjecting. This was the only time that we actually saw the real operation. The real operation, because the two of them were never in the same room together. Very wisely. Barack Obama just moved down the street. Barack Obama was in Colorado the whole time running the White House. But they were never in the same room together. Very rarely. And when they were, it's amazing. Hey, Alex, you remember that Tucker Carlson segment of Barack Obama being in the same room as Joe Biden and Joe Biden like begging for Obama's attention? How pathetic and groveling and embarrassing it all was. Do you remember that? Oh, that was great. You don't mind. See if we can find that. This old time, oldie but a goodie. Because Tucker does this great breakdown of where the actual power is and how obvious it is. There it is. How obvious it is where the actual power lies. But there were only 2 times, as far as I can recall, in 4 years that you saw these 2 men, if you can call them that, in the same room together. And both circumstances demonstrates the relationship. Here you can see corpse like Joe Biden. Joe Biden, the animatronic Frankenstein from Home Depot that's in your neighbor's yard for Halloween. My kids love those. Has more life than Joe Biden does here. And then the other time that Joe Biden was in the same room as Barack Obama, this happened. Here's Tucker Carlson's breakdown at the time. Tucker's still on Fox. It's just perfection. Here we go.
Joe Biden is now the most unpopular person in virtually any room he enters. If you doubt it, watch this. This was the scene at the White House today. Take a careful look at this. You've never seen anything like it.
Oh.
That's the President of the United States in his own house, shunned. Nobody would talk to him. So Biden wandered off looking vacant as a crowd formed around a former president, Barack Obama, who was obviously deeply grateful for the attention. And then it got worse. It got much more poignant than that. Watch Biden try to horn in on the conversation swirling around Obama. Everyone involved in that conversation, including Kamala Harris, who supposedly works for Biden, ignored Biden completely. Biden desperately tried to get Obama's attention. He puts his hand on Obama's shoulder. He even calls him Barack, like they're friends. But Obama blows him off. He acts like Biden's not even there.
Oh, it's hard to see. It's just hard to see. Remember King Solomon? Remember splitting the baby? Where that comes from? Splitting the baby? How like the real mother of the child will instinctually say, let the child live. You can tell these things. There are moments where you can see based on someone's, the way that they humanly behave, the way that they just animalistically behave, what's happening. And this was a moment. And then Barack Obama on stage with Joe Biden at that fundraiser with Jimmy Kimmel of all people was a moment where based on just the animalistic motions and tendencies and the way we just like engage with our bodies, like you can just see what's happening. You don't need any words. No one needs to describe it for you. You can just tell. Oh, that photo, man, of Joe Biden, a vacant, empty expression of Joe Biden. Kamala Harris with her back to him and Joe Biden pawing at Barack as Barack is like getting eaten alive because everybody knows where the true power is. That's just it. That's just it. So no, Joe Biden wasn't very alive. This is what's been found now by the House Oversight, ladies and gentlemen. House Oversight released a bombshell report. We have it up on screen for you here. Let's read the top line from Fox News and our own production team. We have scoured it, read it, Some major takeaways. Comer unleashes on Biden demands DOJ probe of AutoPen and scathing new report. Comer said Biden's AutoPen actions should be considered void and his doctor should potentially lose his license. Love to see that. House Oversight Committee James Comer is demanding the Department of Justice conduct a comprehensive investigation of Biden's AutoPen use. The committee's GOP majority, released a 100-page report on Tuesday morning detailing the findings of its month-long probe into Biden White House, specifically whether the inner circle covered up signs of mental decline. Faced with the cognitive decline of President Joe Biden, the White House aides at the direction of the inner circle hid the truth about the former president's condition and fitness for office, the report said. The report also detailed a haphazard documentation process for pardons made by Biden, which the committee argued left room for doubt as to whether the former president made that decision himself. Obviously, Donald Trump taking a massive and distinct blow at all of this by placing the Biden AutoPen White House portraiture. I actually got to see it myself and just last week. I was able to go see. It's a beauty. Oh, man. So you have two Trumps, and then you have the Biden AutoPen. By the way, I was at the White House with some very important people, some very famous people, and there was there's a lot of historic things at the White House. There's a selfie line waiting to take a selfie with that. That Trump has made a brand new, he's made a brand new iconic historic selfie location at the White House. I can't explain it. Tucker Carlson was waiting there, members of Congress, senators, everyone was waiting to take a selfie with this AutoPen portrait. It's really something funny. In the absence of sufficient contemporaneous documentation indicating that cognitively deteriorating Biden himself made or gave an executive decision, such decisions do not carry the force of law and should be considered void, the GOP report said. The Department of Justice should immediately conduct a review of the executive actions taken by Biden between January 20 and January 19, 2025. Given the patterns and findings detailed herein, this review should focus particularly on the acts of clemency. However, it should also include other types of executive actions. In addition to concerns about who signed off on Biden's executive actions, Comer spent part of the report railing and raising concerns about Hunter Biden's role in the process. Fox News digitally previously reported that ex-Biden chief Jeff Zients told investigators that Hunter Biden was in the room for some of the pardon discussions, including his own, which is insane, specifically the controversial preemptive pardons that ex-president gave to his relatives. It was towards the end, said a portion of Zients' transcripts included in the report. What comes to mind is the family discussions. I don't know. That doesn't mean that that was it. It was the pardons themselves in the very end, the end of the administration. I think there was a few meetings where Hunter Biden literally drafted the pardons himself. Goodness gracious. An absolutely massive report here. Some of the top line findings from our producers in part 5. The committee deems void all executive actions signed by the AutoPen. Why don't we toss up the actual report itself here, please? Signed by the AutoPen without proper corresponding contemporaneous written approvals traceable to the president's own consent. Page 5 as well. The committee recommends that the Department of Justice investigate all actions of former President Biden's executive actions, particularly clemency actions. Page 23. The First Lady performed additional roles historically reserved for the president, raising concerns about whether she was doing so in the former president's stead because he was physically and mentally struggling to fulfill these duties. Page 26. Zients, the committee. Jill Biden wanted to continue to make sure that the president had enough time to himself, that he was not overscheduled. Goodness. Page 91. The validity of the executive actions allegedly approved. Goodness gracious, Klein. Okay. You're gonna give everyone whiplash. You're gonna give everyone vertigo. All right. The validity of the executive actions allegedly approved and signed largely by AutoPen but Joe Biden must be reviewed to determine whether the legal action is necessary to ameliorate consequences of any legitimate pardons granted executive actions implemented throughout the Biden AutoPen presidency. This committee finds numerous executive actions, particularly clemency actions, taken during the Biden administration that were illegitimate. Therefore, the committee urges the Department of Justice to investigate all of these actions attributed to President Joe Biden. Here in the Fox News article, it says, faced with the cognitive decline of Joe Biden, White House aides at the direction of the inner circle hid the truth about the president's condition and fitness for office. It's worth just going back because this was approximately 1 year ago. This is not ancient history. It feels like ancient history. because Joe Biden is so old, and now we know that he's dying of cancer, and we're not going to celebrate that. And you're like, the chapter is definitely closing on this era of Democrats, quite literally. But it's worth going back and just watching what these monsters did to Joe Biden. What is the moral thing to do? Have people died in your life? Yes. Have you watched people die of old age? Most people have. Grandparents, neighbors, people that you grow up with. It's just the way it is. It's the way God created it. Even if it's just a dog. Have you had a dog that you love die? And you see that dog just really kind of crater in on itself? I've seen that. I was raised with Labradors. And it just sucked. My Labrador's name was Dutch. And he was a good old dog. But they only lived 10 years, 12 years, 15 years at the oldest. And then, during one season, Dutch was such a vibrant dog. And then during one season, he just suddenly could barely walk, right? Barely take care of himself. And quite frankly, kept going out to the woods to die. That's what the dog wanted to do. The dog wanted to just go and be done. Tumors and cancers and everything. You just have to go put a dog like that down. The last thing that you want to do is take a poor hobbled dog like that, who knows that he's just at the end, and to burden it, right? To burden that dog and put pressure on him. That's a cruelty. You'd understand it happening to a dog. That'd be the worst thing ever, right? Put a big leash on him and drag him around for a multi-mile hike, drag him up the side of a mountain like you would a healthy dog. Do that to an old dying dog. And I say this with no joy in my heart at all. As we have said many times, on a human level, you pray for people who have cancer, who are suffering. Joe Biden has terminal cancer in this clip. Joe Biden has terminal cancer. Stage 5 metastasized to the bone. His entire family is keeping it secret from us and the American people.
For what I've been able to do with the COVID, with
Let's
dealing
pause for
with,
just a moment. I just want you to process the evil of this. And how, how cruel it would be to do to an animal, and how then unspeakable it is to do to a human being, and then to do to a nation. Because it's not just elder abuse, it's nation abuse. It's the abuse of our people. They were lying to us about this man. They were lying to us about his capacity to lead because he was dying. And then what they did was they trotted that old diseased Labrador out on stage, tumors and all, and they wanted him to perform. And the results were, of course, horrific. Here is and I would argue this is probably the single most effective ad that the Trump campaign produced. It doesn't include a single word from Trump, and it's worth rewatching just a few seconds of it. It doesn't include a single word from our president. The one debate that they had.
Both, however, making sure that we're able to make every single solitary person eligible for what I've been able to do with the COVID. With dealing with everything we have to do with. Look, if we finally beat Medicare, we're trying to provide housing for Black Americans. The impact on the choice, the idea that they're gonna. I'm proposing that everybody the millionaires pay 1%. So no one I've not raised the cost of Social Security for anybody. I got my handicap, which when I was vice president, down to a 6. And wants to get rid of the ability of Medicare for us to be able to negotiate drug prices with the big pharma companies. What I'm going to do is fix the tax system. For example, we have 1,000 trillionaires in America. Billionaires in America. No one was hurt. No one Israeli was accidentally killed. And it stopped. And I'm going to continue to move until we get the total ban on the total initiative relative to what we're going to do with more border patrol and more asylum officers.
How smart is Donald Trump? Just take a second here and absorb. You've seen President Trump go full berserker mode many times. He's a very energetic guy. So many examples, it's hard to really choose one, but how about like going after Kim Jong-un's red button, little rocket man, death to terrorists. Like you can pick any tweet, pick any line and any speech, go home to mommy. Donald Trump, an absolute monster, everything from getting shot in the head and then jumping back up on stage saying fight, fight, fight. I mean, listen, this is just who the guy is. He's full of energy. He's full of fight, right? He threatened nuclear war with like Kim Jong-un saying my button works, like my red button works. You're a little rocket man. It's great. It's amazing. It's so funny. That's the nature of Trump. What a smart guy to reserve himself in that moment. President Trump was well aware that Joe Biden was the wounded dog and that it would look like cruelty if he were to actually savage Joe Biden on that stage in that moment. What a remarkable, remarkable moment of restraint and wisdom from our president. Goodness gracious. The Fauci pardon. What about that? We were talking with Rand Paul about that just a moment ago. Again, we'll be talking to Jamie Comer. He's also from Kentucky. Kentucky, not a great state for Dr. Fauci. Jeff Zients approved the AutoPen Fauci pardon. In testimony, he says that he didn't write the email. What is this exactly? January 19th meeting, which took place in the yellow Oval Room of the White House residence. Mr. Biden kept his aides until nearly 10 p.m. to talk through such decisions. The emails showed that an aide sent a draft summary to Mr. Biden's decisions, of Mr. Biden's decisions in the meeting, to Mr. Zients, copying Mr. Siskel. The assistant forwarded it to Reid and Zients for their approval, copying many participants. 3 minutes later, Mr. Zients hit reply all and wrote, I approve of the use of the AutoPen for the execution of all of the following pardons. So there's chief of staff approving it. Goodness gracious. What a mess. And they're still trying to keep it up. It's really fascinating. I do wonder what culpability does Joe Biden have here? Jill Biden and her team, a guy named Anthony Bernal, who was her little chief of staff, he's some type of he's like a little finger here. He's a worm tongue, this guy. And he's like the handler. He's like this creepy handler. Like there's like this Jill Biden sort of underbelly to all this. And you could see it, right? Like in the way that she reacted to questions like, should Joe Biden take a cognitive test?
Nikki Haley, one of the Republican candidates, is calling for mental competency tests for those politicians over the age of 75. What do you think about that?
Ridiculous.
Would your husband ever take one of those?
I mean, we would never even discuss something like that.
Joe, you did such a great job. You answered every question. You knew all the facts. And let me ask the crowd, what did Trump do? Lie! Yes.
Some things are better left to history, ladies and gentlemen. This is the face, by the way. This is the face. James Comer is joining our program in just a moment. He's a happily married man. He's got a beautiful family. This is why you don't marry a left-wing woman. This should be used. You should print this out on a flyer and hand it to every young man going into a church, every young man at a NASCAR or UFC event, and just say, don't marry a lib. Don't marry a feminist. This is what your future will be. And just give them as the iconoclast, right? Of what will happen to you. You will be sitting in the back lobotomized as your shrieking, screaming wife. We've seen this before. I've seen it before. The Bill Clinton Hillary video that you love so much, ALX. I've seen this dynamic. Hold on, I'll show it to you in just a second. I've seen it. I've seen it before. All right. Ladies and gentlemen. Very quickly here, American financing is what you should do in order to get yourself out of a bind. I don't know how Joe Biden's going to get himself out of this. We'll see. But American financing can help people get a little breathing room ahead of the holidays, especially if you are trapped in modern-day slavery, which is high-interest credit card debt The credit card rates are insane. They're usury rates in the 20s and 30s. It should be illegal, but nonetheless, it is what it is. I don't have the power to change it. I don't have an auto pen. You know what I mean? American Financing can help you use the value in your home's equity in order to pay off that debt and do it in the low fives at much better rates that are more in line, obviously, with the Fed funds rates with no upfront fees. It's like a $10,000 raise every single year. You should call now before it's too late. American Financing at 888-528-1219. That's 888-528-1219. AmericanFinancing.net/Benny. Do we have that, Bill and Hillary Clinton? All right. I've seen it before. I've seen the dynamic before. So just let this be the warning. Let this be the warning to you. Here's Joe Biden and Jill. And there you go. Put them up side by side. And then we gotta go to Jamie Comer. But I just can't help myself. Here we go. Here's Bill Clinton. Look at it. It's the same photo. It's the same photo. This is from a video. It's the same thing. It's the same photo. This is what awaits you, men. Don't do it. Don't do it. Marry a Maha mom. Marry a trad wife. Get yourself a good conservative woman. Get yourself a good trad wife. Don't do it. Nope. Makes the ladies crazy. Look at this. I can show you. Look, it's the same photo. Yeah. Whoa. Terrible. Holy smokes. Ladies and gentlemen. Ugh. This is the solution for the side effects to Viagra. Okay. Well, ladies and gentlemen, without further ado, we have Jamie Comer, the man of the hour, on to talk about what's going on with this brand new bombshell report, and more importantly, Joe Biden's fake presidency. Let's go. Mr. Chairman, quite a day for you, and well done in this report. We've read through a lot of the top line, but I guess the question that I have is, at what point do you determine what is legitimate and what is illegitimate? How much of Joe Biden's presidency was illegitimate?
Well, we just focused on the pardons and executive orders, all the documents that were signed with the auto pen that were by definition legal documents that whether you're recording a deed in the courthouse for buying a piece of property or whether you're signing a subpoena in a court of law, you have to use an ink pen. But at the end of the day, the investigation was about in addition to the unauthorized use of the auto pen, Joe Biden's overall mental cognitive state. Was he even aware of what his staff was doing? In addition to whether or not it was legal, did he even know? Did he have the capacity to understand? And as you read the report, you see we brought in his entire inner circle. And many of these depositions lasted all day. There were hours and hours and hours of deposition. We obviously have the transcripts, but we also have the audio. That was something the January 6th committee set the precedents, and they're regretting it right now because we have the audio of people like Dr. O'Connor when asked, were you ever told to lie about Joe Biden's health? He pled the fifth. The White House physician couldn't answer a question whether or not he lied about Joe Biden's health. So the American people get to see that. And at the end of the day, all 12 of these inner circle staffers, and we're talking about 2 chiefs of staff, we're talking about these executive secretaries, we're talking about the people identified as the ones who use the auto pen. None of them ever spoke directly with Joe Biden other than Jeff Zients. And, there's no consistent manner in which the auto pen was used. There's no chain of custody. There were the people that were operating the auto pen said they would go weeks and weeks without seeing Joe Biden, but in between they were signing the auto pen on legal documents. So I think that the evidence is there. We've done the hard lifting, the tedious part of an investigation, whether it's a congressional investigation or a normal Department of Justice investigation. We have now formalized the report. It's been out for 4 or 5 hours. Not a single Democrat or media personality is disputing 1 ounce of that. We are handing this to Pam Bondi on a silver platter and saying the investigation is done. We think there should be accountability. And accountability, Benny, is in the form of the pardon should be declared void. And those are the pardons for Dr. Fauci, the Biden family members, the January 6th committee, Adam Schiff, the deep state actors that Joe Biden pardoned on the way out. All the pardons should be declared void. And if she wanted to go even further, I think you bring in Dr. O'Connor and asked him again if they lied about Joe Biden's health. But I think that the evidence is there, and this will hold up in court. If these pardons are declared void and null by the Department of Justice, who more than likely go to the Supreme Court, the evidence is overwhelming. The depositions, the emails, all the evidence we have will hold up in the Supreme Court.
Bring it to its logical conclusion. You can't run a country like this because you can't just pardon. What's stopping Trump from just pardoning every voter, a MAGA voter, right? Oh,
That's
okay.
exactly
Well,
right.
I'm just going to buy. I'm just going to make sure that you can never be charged with anything because you supported me for president. You're going to collapse the entire country if you normalize something like this.
You are, and again, with Trump, when he pardons someone, he does a press conference and he talks about it. And I haven't always agreed with 100% of the pardons that President Trump's issued, but he's
issuing them.
He issued.
He's doing it. He's making.
With Joe Biden, there's no evidence that he had any idea. I mean, obviously he knew his family was getting a pardon, but at the end of the day, you talk about thousands of pardons. He said himself in an interview with the New York Times that he didn't review every single pardon. Well, that right there is a problem because only the president of the United States, not the vice president, not the chief of staff, only the president of the United States has the authority to grant a pardon.
Really quickly here, we have actually that New York Times article that says specifically that Jeff Zients replied all and says, I approve of the pardons. Well, that's not in the Constitution, brother. So does this mean that Dr. Fauci, this is specifically about the Fauci pardon, the ream of pardons that were rolled out, but the Fauci pardon. So you are saying declaratively, and that we will stand up in court and stand up in any trial before any court in the land, including the Supreme Court, that Dr. Fauci's pardon is null and void.
Yes. I mean, look, at the end of the day, you have to have a formal process for the auto pen. And, they're trying to say, well, some of these were approved verbally. Some of these we had a memo. There's emails from the Biden Department of Justice, the Merrick Garland Department of Justice, to the Biden inner circle saying, you need to be careful using the auto pen so much on legal documents. And then there are other emails. Was the president even aware that this particular person was pardoned? And I mean, so his own Department of Justice is concerned that, number one, there's excessive unauthorized use of the auto pen. And number two, that the president of the United States has no clue who's being pardoned by his unnamed staffers that are using the auto pen. And when Donald Trump says it was the auto pen presidency, what we saw in the last 3 months from the time of the debate, the disastrous debate when Joe Biden had to drop out, until the moment of the transfer of power from Biden to Trump, that would be a pretty accurate statement that it was the auto pen presidency.
So when it comes to Jill Biden's culpability here, I want to talk about Jill, Anthony Bernal. There's an entire sort of wing of the administration that was run by Jill. Not only do we have the hilarious photos of her sitting in the president's chair with the president's jacket that says "the president" on it. Nobody elected Jill Biden. And she just acted as the de facto president. And that's what many reports have said. And she even ran cabinet meetings, Mr. Chairman. And it was grotesque to watch. No one's ever seen a woman behave like this in the White House. What's to be made of Jill Biden's role in all this?
Well, she had a significant role. We didn't bring Jill Biden in because it was going to take forever, and time is of the essence, because you've got a situation where a lot of these people in the deep state can't be held accountable. I know there's a lot of people frustrated that no one's been arrested yet or anything else. Well, a lot of them were granted pardons. Well, now with our investigation, the pardons, if the Department of Justice does what we've recommended, the pardons will be declared null and void. So there's nothing stopping the Department of Justice from going after the deep state and going after Dr. Fauci for everything that he put us through, or the January 6th committee for falsifying documents, or the Biden family for taking millions and millions of dollars from our enemies around the world, lying about it, and then not paying taxes on it. I mean, the list goes on and on and on of who the auto pen pardoned on the way out the door. And again, there's no chain of custody. Every staffer essentially gave a different account for how the auto pen was to be used. And I don't think that would hold up. If you ran a Fortune 500 company and operated like that, I don't think that would hold up in a circuit court in any state in America, much less the presidential power of the pardon and the way that was operated by the Biden administration.
Should Joe Biden's Dr. O'Connell, should he lose his license?
Well, I think that he's going to have to explain why that they didn't give Joe Biden a cognitive test, or did they give Joe Biden a cognitive test and he failed? He's going to have to explain why they didn't test Joe Biden for prostate cancer, or did they test Joe Biden for prostate cancer and he had it and they lied about it? And I think he's going to also have to say, why did you continuously write down that he was in a picture of health mentally and physically when everyone in America could see with their own eyes that he was not? Now, those are all questions we tried to ask him, and he pled the Fifth Amendment to avoid self-incrimination. Now, if you have the Attorney General do an investigation, he's not going to have as many options. And if he continues to plead the Fifth, then I think he should lose his license. Because he was America's doctor, essentially. He didn't work for Joe Biden. He worked for us. He was the White House physician.
Right.
And you can't have the White House physician lying about people, so especially if they have cancer, especially if they take a cognitive test and fail it. So at the end of the day, that clip you showed of Jill Biden, when she said they never even talked about taking a cognitive test, that is a lie. They did talk about it. Every single one of the people that we brought in that was in Joe Biden's inner circle said, yeah, we talked about taking the president taking a cognitive test to shut up the critics, but then we eventually decided against it. Now, why would you decide against it? Either you knew he would fail it, or he took it and failed it and you covered it up.
Stage 5 prostate cancer metastasized to your bones. This is a 12 to 15 year process.
Yes.
It's very slow moving. It's something that deteriorates your body, your health, and especially the treatments of them make you very cloudy and unable to really perform daily activities.
Right.
My contention here, based on all available evidence and a number of doctors coming on our program and speaking for hours about this, is that Joe Biden was being treated actually for prostate cancer under the table, and they were trying to lie to the American public and get him or drag him over the finish line, in spite of the fact that he had a terminal illness. And that seems to be like not only a horrible scandal, but immoral. What is your take on that?
Well, it's very possible. Look, my father had prostate cancer. My grandfather had prostate cancer. My great-grandfather had prostate cancer. Runs in my family. I've studied a lot about prostate cancer, believe me. But at the end of the day, as you just mentioned, every health expert says that you don't just wake up one day and have that stage of prostate cancer. That and what they've tried to imply out of the Biden White House was that they just didn't test him for prostate cancer. They test every man. I've been getting blood twice a year. I take blood tests for prostate cancer. I've been doing it since I was 40 years old. I'm 53, and every man does that. So if they weren't testing him, then that's almost criminal in itself. But just think, if he did have it and they covered it up, he had it when they filed for re-election. So they were trying to run him for another 4-year term. Not only, if that's true, were they lying about it, they tried to run him for another 4-year term at his age. And it's just preposterous. I mean, I think that, in the report, we referred Dr. O'Connor to the medical board. At the very least, let the medical board. He can't plead the Fifth, I don't think, in front of the medical board. I mean, if he does, the medical board needs to assume what you and I are assuming with respect to his performance with respect to the president of the United States. That he wasn't being truthful, or he was a terrible doctor, one or the other.
Yes. You read some of the byproducts and some of the horrible things that treatment for prostate cancer does. And we know that Joe Biden was constantly being taken to Walter Reed. Right. Power was transferred over to Kamala Harris a couple times because of operations. They're never forthright about this. The difference is stark, too. Caroline Leavitt up in front of the White House just a couple of weeks ago saying, hey, Trump has this thing. It's pretty common in older people, intravenous. I can't remember the exact name.
Yeah.
But, like, at least they're being honest about what's going on. And they've just been lying, and it's been totally immoral. Okay. So, final...
And Benny, remember, we were consulting with Ronnie Jackson through especially the deposition with Dr. O'Connor. Ronnie Jackson was the White House physician in the first Trump administration. So we had an expert consulting with us in addition to our medical experts. So we were prepared to ask every question. We had a list of questions. And he kept pleading the fifth. And his attorney said, look, you can ask questions for all day. We're going to plead the fifth on everything. So, he was very defiant, wasn't going to answer even the basic question, were you ever told to lie about Joe Biden's health?
So we've covered Dr. Fauci. We've covered Joe Biden's doctor. We talked about Jill. The big one that seems to be actually boiling up to the surface again, based on Barry Loudermilk's work, is January 6th. Yeah, and this was actually, I would argue, Joe Biden's pardon of Hunter makes a ton of sense, obviously based on what we've talked about Hunter before, Mr. Chairman. His pardon of his family makes sense on like a human level. His pardon of Fauci perhaps even makes some sense. The pardon of the entire January 6th committee and every witness. Now that I think is arguably the most damning pardon. That is really something. I mean, that has no historic precedent at all. Right. We've seen Bill Clinton pardon his degenerate family members. We've seen presidents sort of sling pardons to people that they were in business with. We've never seen anything like that. Why did that happen? And what happens next?
Well, I didn't know when he first did the pardons, but so much information's come out now that we have a Department of Justice, now that we have people like Kash Patel and Tulsi Gabbard and John Radcliffe that are shining a light on a lot of the corruption in the deep state. But it does appear that January 6th committee withheld information, that they weren't truthful in their investigative report. And that's one thing. The Democrats cry and scream, the liberal media, they attack me all the time, but they've never disputed one thing we put in the final report. Never. They didn't in the Biden family influence peddling when we said they took in tens of millions of dollars from our adversaries around the world, didn't pay taxes on it. And they haven't said a thing about this Biden auto pen scandal. So, but with the January 6th report, just about everything they put in is being disputed, and no one's there to defend it now. Adam Schiff and Adam Kinzinger, who continues to, they just tweet away and try to change the narrative. But at the end of the day, if they were caught being dishonest and they signed their names on a congressional report, if they were lying about FBI agents, undercover FBI agents, possibly enticing a crowd and all that, why are they doing that? They should not be pardoned. They should not be protected from being held accountable for lying to the people. I don't know if they lied or not, but the more that comes out, I've seen enough from Adam Schiff. I don't believe a thing he says. And the fact that Joe Biden auto-pen pardoned him on the way out, that looks to me like a pretty possible admission of guilt.
Like, of course, like just prima facie, Mr. Chairman, like it's just insane to pardon someone who hasn't been charged with a crime, right?
Right.
Like, okay, well, then what actually happened?
Right.
And then we've heard so much about Liz Cheney and witness tampering, Adam Kinzinger, Liz Cheney, Adam Schiff, witness tampering, and some of the ways that they went about, like cajoling and then forcing certain testimonies out of certain witnesses, including, but not limited to, completely made up stories like Trump trying to Incredible Hulk his way through the Secret Service and grab a limousine steering wheel. Like these are just like completely made up stories.
I can tell you this: you have to hold them accountable if they lied, because whoever the next person is that's chairman of the Oversight Committee, if it's Jamie Raskin, who is one of the biggest liars that's ever served in Congress, I hope you clip that, Benny. If he has subpoena authority again and has the ability to publish reports, and he knows he got away with one on the January 6th committee because he was on the January 6th committee, and he's not held accountable, then he's going to continue to do it. So I think that this investigation of the auto pen, the evidence that we put forward, I think this will go down one of the most consequential and successful congressional investigations ever. I just hope that the Department of Justice now takes it and holds these people accountable, because we have a lot of wrongs to right. And there are a lot of problems still in the deep state and in Congress that need to be fixed. And they're not going to get fixed if people aren't held accountable.
Yeah, if they have fake pardons. Okay, so so in closing here, what do you want to happen to the January 6th committee? Many of them are still in Congress. What would be your recommendation, Mr. Chairman?
Well, we've referred this all to the Department of Justice. Now, Laudermilk's doing a good job on his investigation. He's leading that investigation. The biggest challenge that we have in congressional investigations is accessing information. And I think that the Department of Justice needs to work with Laudermilk. They need to work closer with me in future investigations and with Jim Jordan in his investigation to try to get that information. We never could get it from the Merrick Garland Department of Justice. And honestly, it's not the easiest thing with the Bondi Department of Justice. So we need to get that information. And again, we need to determine, or Laudermilk and those guys need to determine, did they lie? And if they did, they need to have criminal referrals, issue that in a report, and then the Department of Justice needs to prosecute those people.
Well, you know what, Chairman, and everybody needs to follow Chairman James Comer over here. 300,000 people follow Representative Comer here on his official account. He also has a personal account. It's great, and GOP oversight. You know, the most wonderful thing about your work here, Mr. Chairman, is that Kamala Harris is running again. Okay?
Yeah.
Like Hunter Biden's out doing podcast interviews. This incredible rat pack that you've exposed here, they're not going to go away. This is all they got. So this is really important work. You're the man to do it. You've always been the man, and it's just our honor to have you on. And
thank you, Benny. Appreciate it. Thank you.
God bless you. Godspeed. Yeah, the truth will set you free. See you.
Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, it is whenever I get on a plane, I say a little prayer. God is the author of life and death, right? You want to make sure that you are constantly praying. You want to make sure that you are constantly bringing forward into your life the admission that you are not God. That's the difference. That's the difference between us and them. That's the separation between man and the animals. We understand that. It's based on data, actually. 93% of Republicans believe in God, and 60% of Democrats believe in God. Wait a second. Approximately, within the margin of error, only half of the Democrat Party believe in God? That's your problem. That's your issue. I think I figured out the issue with our nation, actually, because it is constructed for a holy and only moral people, a good and moral people. I use the Hallow app, ladies and gentlemen, for my prayers. It is something that is all of constant importance to me. Starting this month, just this week actually, the Hallow Prayer app, Jim Caviezel, the actor who played Jesus in The Passion of the Christ, will be doing an entire series on prayer. It is based on the Screw Tape Letters, an absolute legendary book by C.S. Lewis, and how Satan tries to lead Christianity and Christians away from God. Every day is a battlefield, and it's a battlefield for our culture. It's a battlefield politically. It's a battlefield spiritually. So make sure you're locked in on all of them. Here's how you get onto the Hallow app, please. This is the #1 Christian prayer app in the world. Make sure that you download today. Go to hallow.com/Benny. Hallow.com/Benny. Get 3 months free with a subscription at hallow.com/Benny. Reclaim the power of prayer in your life. All right, ladies and gentlemen, it's going to be a very, very interesting 2 days. We're going to be out and traveling and rocking and rolling, and we look forward to seeing you on the road. We are also going to be doing our a big event with Eric Trump. Do we have the promo for that, please? Go, if you are in the greater regional area, go right now and make a plan for November 5th, the date, the celebration date of President Trump's victory in this past election, and join me and Eric Trump for a Turning Point rally at Auburn University. November 5th, Eric Trump and Laura Trump, Turning Point rally. That'll be a stadium rally. It's going to be awesome, and it's going to be an amazing good time. Very, very excited about it. Link in the description. What is that? What is that link, though? It would be the turningpointtour.com, but give me that. So it's going to be events 20 tpusa.com/events, America Comeback Tour. Ladies and gentlemen, you can see it right here on screen. Lock in, and it's going to be a wild good time. Verse of the day from Ephesians. Put on the full armor of God so that you may take a stand against the devil's schemes. Whew, baby. Make sure that that devil ain't running your life. Ladies and gentlemen, we're going to be running today. Again, we'll see you tonight. Alex, I don't know if the event is live streamed or not, but either way, we'll be rocking and rolling at Heritage Foundation with Tulsi Gabbard, and then tomorrow we're gonna have some fun stuff with JD Vance, and more with Turning Point. And so, it is our honor to fight with you, to march with you every single day. A reminder, ladies and gentlemen, that in the end, we win. See ya.
If you can hear this message, you are the remaining survivors of the Democrat Party. We need your help. If you are capable of being likable, please find a clean suit and tie. We will get you across the finish line, but time is running out. Please help us.
Where the truth gon' be, faith and freedom on your TV screen. Stand up strong, battle through the night. The Benny Show's here, bringing liberty to light. From the speeches to debates, Benny sharp like a blade, cutting through the lies, watch the truth cascade. With the warrior's heart, this man never fades. You know it's prime time when Benny invades. From saving the nation to stories untold, the Benny Show's a storm, see the truth unfold. Stay in the loop, let freedom take hold. Salting all the libs, soul never sold. It's the Benny Show, where the truth gon' be. Faith and freedom on your TV screen. Stand up strong, battle through the night. The Benny Show's here, bringing liberty to light. Liberty to light. Bringing liberty to light. Liberty to light. Bringing liberty to light. From the speeches to debates, Benny sharp like a blade, cutting through the lies, watch the truth cascade. With the warrior's heart, this man never fades. You know it's prime time when Benny invades. From saving the nation to stories untold, the Benny Show's a storm, see the truth unfold. Stay in the loop, let freedom take hold. Salting all the libs, soul never sold. It's the Benny Show, where the truth gon' be. Faith and freedom on your TV screen. Stand up strong, battle through the night. The Benny Show's here, bringing liberty to light. Bringing liberty to light. Bringing liberty to light. Bringing liberty to light. Bringing liberty to light.